Hey everybody, thought I'd come back with a kind of reflection video, I guess you could say. Just saw uh, a a meme, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like a funny meme, but like a meme image, I guess, on Instagram yesterday, and just see a little bit, yeah, and it had me thinking about something. I can't remember the exact wording, but it was addressing the fact that Marxists tend to be factional in nature. And so it said something like, I had the quote from Marx, "Workers of the world unite," which is the most famous quote from the Communist Manifesto. And it said, it compared that phrase about union with factionalism. It was something like, when Marx said, all workers of the world unite, what he really meant was, you're not the same type of communist as me, and we should fight each other in these factional fights until, or while the capitalists are ruining everything, something like that. So the main point was this factionalism, which is you know that's a separate issue. But what really caught my attention is this idea that the capitalists are ruining the world. And that was kind of the phrase. The capitalists are ruining the world. Um, and I think what it made me think of is this the idea that the role of capitalism and capitalists, the bourgeoisie, in Marxist theory is not very well understood uh, among the internet meme segment of society. Um, it's hard to know how much memesters or the internet class, not class in the Marxist sense, but like type of person, how much they really know about Marxism, how much they've really read about it. Um, but eat a little bit more, buddy. Just eat a little bit more. Here's some green pepper. Eat some green pepper. Um, and basically, the main idea that I wanted to address is the fact that capitalism and even capitalists are not the enemy in Marxist theory. They are a stage that is very important and is necessary, and to an extent, up to a point, is good, according to Marxist theory. A lot of so-called Marxists on the internet seem to really be, from my perspective, nationalists or traditionalists in disguise, or they think they're Marxists, but they're really not. Marxism is a progressive theory. Yeah. It's not calling for preservation of tradition or preservation of the past or preservation of nations any more than it's calling for the preservation of classes. And so this is just from the Communist Manifesto, which is, not hardcore theory by any stretch of the imagination. It's just I guess you could call it a polemic. Let me get Quincy water. I'll be right back and I'll continue this. So let me read these passages from the Communist Manifesto. And this is the Oxford World's Classic edition, just kind of a student edition. Not sure if there's a standard, like, scholarly edition or translation, but I've had this one since I was doing undergraduate classes. It was assigned for a modern history course, and that's kind of when I first, not when I first read it. I first read the Communist Manifesto in high school, but this was whenever I first read it and probably understood it, kind of knew what it was talking about. So it says, this is page 6 on this translation, very, very short into the text. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production, and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society. Conservation of the old modes of production in unaltered form was, on the contrary, the first condition of existence for all earlier industrial classes. Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguish the bourgeois epoch from all earlier ones. All fixed, fast, frozen relations with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. All new-formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind. And then later on, it says, the bourgeoisie keeps more and more doing away with the scattered state of the population, of the means of production, and of property. It has agglomerated population, centralized means of production, and has concentrated property in a few hands. The necessary consequence of this was political centralization. Independent or but loosely connected provinces with separate interests, laws, governments, and systems of taxation became lumped together into one nation with one government, one code of laws, one national class interest, one frontier, and one customs tariff. And I think that's enough to context for what I want to say. Based on this, Marx is not saying this occurrence is negative. He's saying it's a good thing. Because from those two passages, what is capitalism doing away with? What are the bourgeoisie doing away with? They're doing away with, the second passage, they're doing away with feudalism. Nationalism is overcoming feudalism. It's a necessary centralization of feudal separation. The nation state arises with capitalism. Those two things emerge together, which is important because nationalism is something that people are holding on to. You cannot get beyond capitalism without getting beyond nationalism. Those two things are paired in the same way that feudalism is paired with pre-capitalist modes of production. Feudalism is kind of a catch-all term for society and the method of production anyway, in a different way than capitalism is. But it's better to have a nation than to have feudalism. The unification is necessary. Centralization is necessary. In the first passage, it's getting away with tradition. It's getting away with holiness, with sacredness, with religion, vouchsafed myth, etc. And it's showing people the true essence of their state. And at some point, I can't remember where, but it basically says the only tie that's left between individuals, the only separation that's left is the class separation. And so why is class so important? It's important because it's the only illusion left. But capitalism did the work of getting rid of all the other things. Capitalism, properly understood, is a anti-traditional force. And so the fight is not against capitalism, but is to get beyond it.